Hello everybody and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we'll be talking about the box office preview for several films set to come out in the next month or so, including films like Dog, Uncharted, and of course, The Batman, which I talked about just the other day, selling out of advanced tickets for a special fan event lining up with the Hollywood premiere. Before going any further, though, into this bit of news, please make sure you smash that like button, light up that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey, and also make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with that bell notification turned on. That way you know every time a new video or live stream goes live on the channel. So we've already talked a little bit about the box office forecasting for The Batman, right? Because that was released several days ago. Oh, I know. Very excited whip there. Anyway. We also now have some numbers for other films coming out next week, and that, of course, would be films like Dog and Uncharted. I know. River's still very upset about Uncharted not being cast as Nathan Fillion. I mean, again, Nathan Drake, Nathan Fillion, again, just makes a lot of sense there. But anyway, Uncharted expected to make $25 to $35 million in its opening. Not very strong numbers there, with the long-term forecast domestically for that film being around $60 to $85 million. And Lord knows that's going to have a pretty heavy, pretty high budget to boot, and so that is definitely not looking very good for Uncharted as far as profitability, and that is looking to be released at over 4,000 screens. So we'll have to, of course, wait and see exactly what that film is going to be able to do, if anything. We also have films like Dog coming out that same weekend, expected to make $5 to $15 million, with a total domestic range of $20 to $65 million. I can't imagine that film starring Channing Tatum and a dog. And I would know about dogs because, as you can see, they're getting very excited just because I'm talking about a film about dogs. I actually think that it actually looks pretty compelling to me, but again, that's just because I have a bias towards dogs and I'm an animal lover, so I probably would want to watch it just for that reason alone. But that is expected to have a $5 to $15 million opening weekend with a total domestic range of $20 to $65, and because that film is likely to have a much lower budget than Uncharted, it's looking much better as far as financial viability for a film like Dog versus a film like Uncharted. We then, of course, have The Batman, which doesn't seem to have changed much. Box Office Pro does usually a pretty good job with these tracking, being able to indicate whenever their numbers have gone up from previous ideas, and it looks like this has remained pretty stable. So right now their opening day, or rather their opening weekend range, is around $135 to $185 million domestically, which, if that still holds, would be quite impressive. And that would totally make a lot of sense, because it would be going up against no real competition whatsoever from either a previous week or from anything coming after. And I'll go into a little bit more about that in a second. But the long-range forecast is really, I think, what's most interesting, is because the long-range domestic forecast for the film is set to be anywhere between $340 million and $540 million. And that's important for a couple reasons. One, because that is about half of, right? So if you really take the average there, that means it's going to make maybe a little more than half of what Spider-Man No Way Home was able to accomplish in its entire theatrical run, which is still going on. But also it indicates that if it does get to that higher end, to that higher range of closer to $500 million, that, as I've mentioned in previous videos, $1 billion is very much still on the table. And so let me talk a little bit more about that, because some people have kind of said, I don't really know if it's going to have that much gas in the tank to be able to do so, or if it's going to have that much hype around it to be able to do it. And again, I think a lot of it, and I totally agree with the people in the comments who say, it depends on the movie. And again, that's really what it comes down to. Spider-Man No Way Home. If Spider-Man No Way Home had been a massive letdown, a massive disappointment, did not have that throwback to nostalgia, did not have that respect of nostalgia, right? Did not respect the previous actors who had put on the suit, right? If it didn't have that and had terrible word of mouth, there's no way it would have reached the same heights that it has and it continues to reach. I think the same is going to be true also of The Batman. I think there's a lot of hype around The Batman. One of the key pieces of evidence there is that the special Imax Preview, which is set to basically come out on the same day as the official movie premiere. So there's an official movie premiere event going on, which is typically for the Hollywood elites, right? It's typically for the access media to be able to see. And they decided instead to release it simultaneously in various screens across the country at around 300 plus locations, and those have sold out. Now, some have said, oh, I don't trust pre-sales, and hey, I'm right there with you as far as pre-sales are concerned, but this is not really the same, right? This is not a pre-sale number. This is a special event number, right? This is a fan event number, and that is an entirely different story altogether, because that means that this is a very specific showing of the film, an early access showing of the film. People who clearly want to see the film with no spoilers, who want to be able to see the film before anybody else, right? Who are willing to pay that premium price. I mentioned this the other day, that if you were to see this at an AMC theaters, you would not be able to use your A-list credit on this specific film, because this is, again, a special edition, right? You get they were, of course, I think, selling off, I believe it was for this film, they were selling off at AMC if you were to get tickets to this screening, and maybe even other screenings too, but they were putting an NFT attached to it. So interestingly enough, getting involved in the cryptocurrency game is AMC. But again, you have all of these other things going on, and typically at these fan events, you usually get some type of special, memorabilia, whether it be a poster or whether it be access to giveaways. I remember when I used to work at AMC Theater, whenever we would have fan event screenings of anything, right? So whether it was having an Avengers marathon or whether it was having any other type of special event, there would always be a situation where before the film or between films, we would come in and we would be given a lot of just goodies from the studio. And we would ask trivia, and we'd be able to give away T-shirts and hats and all these other types of things. And so that is, I think, another thing to consider. Even those events, right? Even those major events that would happen during the day would usually sell pretty well. This, of course, happening at night is going to be one where the reason, again, it helps to explain why it was able to actually sell out and do as well as it's doing. I also was able to get special access to an earlier screening of it. Not this one. I was not able to get access to the fan event because it comes on Tuesday, but on Wednesday, so still a day before the official release, because I am, and again, I am always very transparent about this. I used to work for AMC. I also own some stock in AMC, and so because I am an investor, I therefore also got special access to a Wednesday night screening. So I was able to use my A-list on that. So luckily enough, I was able to use my AMC A-list movie to be able to get a ticket to that. So I'm going to go see that on IMAX on that Wednesday before it comes out. So very excited about that, because I'll be able to do a review before the film comes out and talk to you guys about what my thoughts are about it and whether or not I think it lives up to the hype, because there is obvious hype around it. I think that this is a great example of that. There's another key reason why I think that this film has a very strong chance of doing much better than some people might expect. Not only, of course, is there a lot of hype around this film, but also look at the lack of competition that this film is going to have up against it, right? So this film comes out on March 4th. The next films you have coming out are an untitled Universal musical event, Operation Fortune, The Outfit, The Unbreakable Boy, The Lost City, The Contractor, and then really the next major competition is Morbius, which has been pushed back so many times. It's been pushed back almost for 2 full years now, and I would not be surprised if it got pushed back again. To me, if I was Sony and I was deciding the fate of this film and I was going to push it back one more time, I would put this film in October. I would put this film in the midst of the Hollywood season, because I think that this film would actually do better and fare better as either one, a fall Halloween event type film, because of those horror elements, because of those vampire elements. Again, typical fans tend to go out a lot more often to see films like that during that time of the year, or I would just push this to the official summer season. Now, the reason why they probably are not going to do that is because the summer season is going to be a little bit, let's just say, a little bit stacked this year, as, of course, we've had 2 years almost of films just being pushed back, finally starting to come out, and I don't know necessarily if Sony has a lot of faith in Morbius as a property, or in Jared Leto as a person, to be able to bring out audiences up against other films that people have a little bit more excitement for. So Morbius, I would say, is going to be really the first competition it has. So it has almost a full month before any other major releases come out that could really have any type of competition against it. And even if this film flops, right, even if Morbius does nothing, then you wouldn't really have until the 8th of April, where Sonic the Hedgehog 2 comes out, where you would have another major film. And even if you don't count that film, then it would be Fantastic Beasts. If you don't count that, you see that The Northman is one I'm excited about, but this is going to be a much more niche audience, right? This is going to be one of those independent films that I think is going to do pretty well. So this film really does not have a lot of competition up against it. So The Batman is going to be pretty much alone And so I think that is going to be a major reason why the film is going to do pretty well financially. And then I think there's early indicators that it will. So this is not dealing with specific pre-sales, though I'm sure pre-sales are doing well. You know how I'm always one to say, hey, if they ever come out saying, oh, Batman's breaking pre-sale records, right? Because it just went on sale for pre-sales officially the other day. So I'm sure that those stories will be coming out pretty soon. But when you have special fan events selling out, that I think is something that is worth talking about. When you have investor events, which when I went to go get my seat had already sold a lot of seats, I imagine that event also will sell out. That, I think, is a key indicator there. And also, I'll be able to let you all know, right? Because some people say, well, what about scalpers, right? What if it's just a bunch of scalpers that got a lot of tickets to this event and are going to try and sell these tickets off at higher prices? And in the end, when people go, there's going to be a lot of empty seats. Well, going to at least the investors screening on that Wednesday, I'll be able to let y'all know, hey, if it said it was sold out, was the film actually sold out, right? How many empty seats were there actually in the theater? Also remember that when a film sells out, it does not mean that every single seat in that theater is taken up, because typically what they want to do in any theater is they want to have those overflow seats just in case there were any mess-ups in the system. Also, so that way people can spread out. Obviously, there's going to be several cities. They're going to still have several different mandates. Luckily, thank the Lord, a lot of states are finally waking up to the nonsense, right? Are finally waking up and taking away a lot of these restrictions and lifting up a lot of these mandates, so that hopefully will kind of, help a lot of things. But there's going to still be places where there's going to be limitations on sizes, right? There's going to be limitations on how many people can be inside of a building. And so sometimes when a film sells out, it means you're going to have those extra seats available. Typically, right, those first 2 rows are usually left open just in case they want to either open that up to other people who work at the theater, or whether they want to open that up in general, just to make sure that they're not overselling the theater as well, right? So they'll say a film is sold out, even if there actually are a few extra seats left, because they don't want to have the system accidentally oversell the film and then have to deal with people saying, I can't find a seat, or the only seats that are available are the ones in the very front, because then they're having to deal with refunds, and it, again, becomes this whole process. So I totally believe this when it says that they are selling out of these special screenings, and I'm seeing a lot of hype in the comment section of the video as well. And as I said, just even in my own, even in the Chattanooga area for the investor screening, there is already a lot of tickets being sold for that film. So in the end, I think Batman has a very good chance of being able to be incredibly successful. Whether it hits the billion or not, I think that it's being prepped to have a best chance of doing that, of being the next film to reach $1 billion. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed, but I would say at the very least, we're looking at a film that's going to be somewhere in the $700 million to $1 billion range by the end of its run, because really it depends on how well it's going to be able to do in the foreign market, which of course is usually a giant question mark, and also whether or not Warner Brothers, especially since they're the studio behind it, whether or not they try to get any type of China release as well, which, as you all know, I really hope that they do not, because that is money that goes to the Chinese Communist Party. But anyway, what are y'all's thoughts about these movies set to come out? Are you excited about Dog? Are you excited about Uncharted? Or are you excited about The Batman? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you again for watching this video. And also, just know that the voting for the Wednesday Raven Awards, the 4th annual Oscars boycott, are going to be live as this video goes live. I'll be posting. I know River's excited. She's ready to put her votes in. So the link for that, the link to the ballot will be posted in the pinned comment of this video. And so if you want to be able to vote, that's going to be the primary way to find it. And then eventually I'll be adding it to the website and sharing it on social media over the weekend. But if you want to have that early access to the public, I guess you could say, check out the pinned comment in just a little bit. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching this video. If you like this video, smash that like button, light that fire button over on Odyssey. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge shout out to all of my Patreon, Subscribe Star, and Locals members, starting off with Patreon animation commentator Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Brian P., Christopher Bowman, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father. Father Damian Cook, Fuzz Aldrin, Garrett Searles, Hannibal Grimm, Harold Francis, Hymir Ari Hymason, Inflamed Wood, Jacob Juice, Jeffrey Toon, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Gomer Kyles 79, Laura, The Modern Major General's Story, Mike Jackson, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mondo Spieler, Mr. Peabody, On to June, Orange Hat Reviews, Out of Step with Reality, Priscilla Hall, Rosetta Owen, Stan Andrian, Teresa Martin, or Miss Martin Muses, Theodore Benden, Tina Bojan, and Tina B, the Empress of the Universe. Thank you very much for supporting me over on Patreon. Also to my Subscribe Star peeps, UAB Mad Dog, which is Mr. Mike Jackson, Storm Tracker, The R, Fast Reaction, Nosferatu Gatsu, Stand For, John B, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., Dean Heiss / the new number 2, J-Rod the Beer Guru, and ZK-Man. Thank you all very much for supporting me over on the Subscribe Star platform. And to my 3 local supporters, we got Kara Tharp, UAB Mad Dog, which is once again Mike Jackson, super supporter over there, and Robert Barnes. Thank you very much for supporting me over on the Locals platform. And if you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and video, please think about signing up on either of those platforms. You can find a link in the description below that will lead you to all of those different pages. It is known as the Willow link, as it is w.lo link, and it will have all of the links to that, to the Discord channel, to all different kinds of places, including places to support me as well. At the Citizen of Asgardian level, you get Citizen of Asgardian level is how it's labeled on Patreon. Still need to fix that, but Citizen of Asgard level, you get a shout out at the end of every live stream and video. If you join at the Army of Asgard level, you also access to a giveaways channel, which is featured on the Discord that I have. I know, River, it is very exciting. It is so exciting, where you get giveaways for things like 4K titles, Steelbook titles, etc. Again, I got some 4K Steelbooks of The Punisher, for instance. I've got 4Ks of tons of other movies, so I'm giving those away all the time. So if that sounds interesting to you, join the Army of Asgard level. Also, at the Keep of the Bifrost level, you get all of that stuff, plus you get access to a once a month and maybe twice a month. We're trying to add an extra podcast in there of me and John the Flick Pick Flickinger, where we talk about movies, and also you get to ask your questions. Any questions that you want to ask, you get to ask with that podcast. And then you have the Chosen of Valhalla level, which gives you access to all of those, and also a once a month podcast where you get to be featured with me on the main channel. We all get to talk together about movies, culture, pop culture, anything really that the Chosen want to talk about, or anything the Chosen want to promote is on the table. So if you like that, join at the Chosen of Valhalla level. Also, during your first month of support, you get a free t-shirt. Any t-shirt that you want from the main store, you get access to, and I do ship internationally anywhere in the world. Anyway, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless.